So, according to a new report from Axios, it looks like the United States and Russia have been negotiating, it looks like in secret, because there's been no leaks up until now. They have been negotiating a 28-point plan under a similar structure of the Israel Gaza peace deal to finally end this ridiculous war between Ukraine and Russia, and really NATO and Russia, or you could say Europe and or just the West and Russia. This big conflict that Russia has been winning, by the way, which is embarrassing for the United States and the West. But we don't have the details of the supposed peace plan. What we do know is that according to a Russian official who spoke to, I believe, both Axios and Politico, the Russians seem optimistic. They think this is not just some sort of pie in the sky proposal from the Americans, but they feel like there's a real possibility of peace here. I think I'll play a clip from Politico, but they feel as though that the Russian side's really being heard here. Now, it looks like Ukraine hasn't been involved in these negotiations up until now, which is a good thing, not a bad thing. Or the Europeans. That's a good thing, because those people don't really care about peace. They want the war to continue because they like having Russia as a foil for them, if we're being honest. At least the Europeans. The Ukrainians a little bit different, in all fairness. I mean, Zelensky, I think, is a bad faith actor, but I think the people of Ukraine have suffered a lot, which is why we need this war to end. But Dasha Burns, who works for Politico, she's very pretty. It's too bad this is an audio podcast. You're not going to see her pretty face. But she was doing her podcast. Again, everyone has to have a podcast. She was doing her podcast talking about the new report, and I'm going to play it for you now to give you more context.
Axios reporting that there is a secret peace plan that has been pretty much there, hammered out between Russia and Steve Witkoff, the president's envoy on peace. Ukraine has not been involved in these talks, and it is only today it sounds like that they're going to start getting involved in this negotiation. That's a really big deal, Dasha. This felt like it was stalled. It felt like it was going nowhere. And suddenly, well, you've been talking to your sources last night. How close are we to actually something concrete happening here?
Yeah, I mean, this is remarkable. Just weeks ago, there was speculation of whether or not the president was going to get sick and tired of this and walk away altogether because he made so much progress in so many other parts of the world in these peace negotiations. And this was just a nut he couldn't crack. Well, it's cracking. The dam is breaking. Whatever metaphor you want to use, suddenly there was a ton of movement here. I've been speaking to my sources. One senior White House official is telling me that they are expecting the beginning of the end of this conflict between Russia and Ukraine to come as soon as this week. At the latest, they're saying next week. That is the belief right now in the White House, is within the next 2 weeks. We won't necessarily have a peace deal signed, but we will have at least a framework of a peace deal and have both Russia and Ukraine, Putin and Zelensky on board here. Now, this source confirmed the Axios reporting that you just outlined, Jack, and said that right now, Steve Witkoff is in talks with the Ukrainians and is trying to get them on board with this.
By the way, I love that the attitude from the administration is we don't give a shit what the Europeans think, or even frankly, to some degree, what the Ukrainians think. I love that because those people are hopeless. Okay, the Europeans, they suck. They want this war to continue. I think Zelensky wants the war to continue so he can continue getting, amazingly positive op-eds done about him. It also, the longer this war goes on, the longer he doesn't have to hold elections. I mean, this dude, all the democracy people, the people who love democracy, they love Zelensky too. And it's like, Zelensky's a dictator. He's refused to hold elections. Why? Because he's at war? If the United States was, if Donald Trump refused to hold elections, the left wouldn't care if the United States was at war or not. They'd be like, this dude's a dictator. He's refusing to hold elections. But as Zelensky does it all, everything's fine. It's great. Zelensky's wonderful. He can't hold elections. There's a war going on. Imagine if George W. Bush hadn't held elections in 2004 because we were at war. Now, I get it. It's different. We weren't actually invaded. We were invading, and that's in the Iraq and Afghanistan situation. Although we were attacked directly on 9/11, and that was the pretext for those wars. But so it's a little bit different because obviously Ukraine is being invaded. They haven't invaded Russia. But the principle is still there. Like what? Because you're at war, you can't hold elections? It's a crock. The whole thing's ridiculous. And again, I want to make the point, going back to Marco Rubio, according to Dasha Burns, again, very pretty woman. I only say that just for context. No other reason. Again, this is an audio podcast, folks. I just want to give you the full context. I want you to be able to picture what's going on in this wonderful audio experience. She's very pretty. She points out that this is Witkoff. Witkoff is driving these new negotiations with the Russians. It's not Rubio. Because remember, folks, it looked like about a month ago or so that Trump was going to have another summit with Putin. But then Rubio got on the phone with, I think, Lavrov, which is his Russian counterpart. Then all of a sudden, the second summit got put off. Again, everywhere Marco Rubio goes, it turns to shit. Okay? Like, again, this guy, we need to get rid of Marco Rubio, folks. He sucks. Okay, I already talked. No more Marco Rubio rants for the rest of the week, folks. I promise. He's a gay neocon, but I won't talk about it anymore. I promise. I promise. He's such a fat. Anyway, so this is good news. And again, this goes on to my major points at the beginning of the podcast is, to the extent that we should be focused on foreign policy, it should be to end war so we can focus on the home front. That's it. So even though I was talking about we have to focus on domestic policy, to the extent we are focused on foreign policy, if it's ending wars, that's a positive. Because in theory, that means that the Trump administration has to actually follow through. But if you end wars, in theory, that means you can focus on us. And all that money we are sending to Ukraine can stop. All the weapons we're sending to the Ukraine, to the Europeans, can stop. And that would be a wonderful thing. And look, it would be good for the Ukrainians for this war to end. Again, they've suffered enough. They're not getting the territory back that they've lost. And Zelensky needs to hold elections. Okay, it's time. So this is a very positive development. We'll see what happens. I wanted to emphasize this point at the end of the podcast. So yeah, we'll see what happens. There should be more developments, I think, later in the week if Dasha Burns is to be believed. So I'll update you on the progress of ending this ridiculous, terrible war. Anyway, that's it for today, folks. Thanks for listening. Again, please subscribe, whether it's on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever the hell you get your podcasts. If you are listening on YouTube, please also like and comment. It helps with the algorithm. I have a documentary in the works, which I think you folks will like, which will be available on YouTube, so all the more reason to subscribe. I'll see you back tomorrow, folks. Bye-bye.